special program for you tonight. Rudolph the Red-Nosed Reindeer, not the classic one that you're used to hearing, but this one, which was copyrighted in 1939 by Montgomery and Wards, and was released on two 78 RPM discs. And this version is a story by Robert L. May with music by George Kleinsinger. The story was told by Paul Whiting, with Russ Case and his orchestra, and it has some great music on it and a really good retelling of the story of Rudolph the Red-Nosed Reindeer. Now, after this is over, I'll be back with you for a little bit. I'm going to give you a tour of my little Christmas house that I've built here that is in my display room. It's going to be left up all year, but I want to show you some of the pieces in there too. So I hope you'll enjoy this. It's a delightful story, and share it with a child in your life. And I'll be back shortly. God bless you.
There once was a forest a long way from here, and in that whole forest lived nothing but deer. Just as fish live in water and bells in the steeple, and round where you live almost everyone's people. There were mother deer, father deer, baby deer too. And lots of young boy deer and girl deer like you. Yes, there once was a forest a long way from here. 'Twas the day before Christmas, and all through the hills those young deer were playing, enjoying the spills of skating and coasting and climbing the willows, and hopscotch and leapfrog, protected by pillows to save their deer seats, being scratched up and torn, in leaps that might land on another deer's horn. Now every so often they'd stop to call names at one little deer not allowed in their games. Ha ha! Look at Rudolph! His nose is a sight! It's as red as a beet, twice as big, twice as bright. While Rudolph just wept. What else could he do? He knew that the things they were saying were true. Where most reindeers' noses are brownish and tiny, poor Rudolph's was red, very large and quite shiny. In daylight it dazzled. He sure hated that. At nighttime it glowed like the eyes of a cat, and putting dirt on it just made it look muddy. Oh boy, was he mad when they nicknamed him Ruddy. Although he was lonesome, he always was good, obeying his parents as good reindeer should. That's why on this day, Rudolph almost felt playful. He hoped that from Santa, soon driving his sleigh full of presents and candy and dollies and toys, for good little animals, good girls and boys, he'd get just as much, and this is what pleased him, as the happier, handsomer reindeer who teased him. So as night and the fog hid the world like a hood, he went to bed hopeful. He knew he'd been good. While way up north on this same foggy night, old Santa was packing his sleigh for its flight. This fog, he complained, will be hard to get through. He shook his round head, and his tummy shook too. Without any stars or a moon as our compass, this extra dark night is quite likely to swamp us. To keep from collisions, we'll have to fly slow. To keep our direction, we'll have to fly low. We'll steer by the street lamps and houses tonight, in order to finish before it gets light. Just think how the boys and girls' faith would be shaken if we didn't reach them before they awaken. At each house, first noting the people who lived there, he quickly picked out the right was still foggy, the night dark and drear, when Santa arrived at the home of the deer. A ledge that he tripped on while seeking the chimney gave Santa a spill and a painfully skinned knee. The room he came down in was blacker than ink. He went for a chair and then found it, a sink. The first reindeer bedroom was so very black he tripped on the rug and fell flat on his back. So dark that he had to move close to the bed and squint very hard at the sleeping deer's head before he could choose the right kind of a toy, a doll for a girl or a train for a boy. But all this took time and filled Santa with gloom, while slowly he groped toward the next reindeer's room. The door he just opened when, to his surprise, a dim but quite definite light met his eyes. The lamp wasn't burning. The glow came instead from something that lay at the head of the bed. And there lay, but wait now, what would you suppose? The glowing, you guessed it, was Rudolph's red nose. Oh, this room was easy. This one little light let Santa pick quickly the gifts that were right. How happy he was till he went out the door. The rest of the house was as dark as before, so black that it made every step a dark mystery. But then came the greatest idea in all history. Santa went back to Rudolph and started to shake him, of course very gently, in order to wake him. And Rudolph could scarcely believe his own eyes. You just can imagine his joy and surprise at seeing who stood there, so real and so near, while telling the tale we've already told here. Poor Santa's sad story of dark and delay, the fog and the blackness and losing the way, the horrible fear that some children might waken before his complete Christmas trip had been taken. And you, he told Rudolph, may yet save the day. Your wonderful forehead may yet pave the way for a wonderful triumph. It actually might. Old Santa, you notice, was extra polite to Rudolph regarding his wonderful forehead. To call it a big shiny nose would sound horrid. I need you, said Santa, to help me tonight, to lead all my deer on the rest of our flight. And Rudolph broke out into such a big grin it almost connected his ears and his chin. A note to his folks he dashed off in a hurry. I've gone to help Santa, he wrote. Do not worry, said Santa, my sleigh I'll bring down to the lawn. You'd stick in the chimney, and flash, he was gone. His proud place at the head of the sleigh. The rest of the night, well, what would you guess? Old Santa's idea was a brilliant success, and brilliant was almost no word for the way that Rudolph directed the deer in the sleigh. In spite of the fog, they flew quickly and low, and made such good use of the wonderful glow from Rudolph's forehead at each intersection that not even once did they lose their direction. While as for the houses and streets with a sign on them, they merely flew close so that Rudolph could shine on them. To tell who lived where and just what to give whom, they'd fly by each window and peek in the room. Old Santa knew always which children were good and minded their parents and ate as they should. So Santa selected the gift that was right, while Rudolph's forehead gave just enough light. It all went so fast that before it was day, the very last present was given away. The very last stocking was filled to the top, just as the sun was preparing to pop. The sun woke the reindeer in Rudolph's hometown. They found the short message that he'd written down, then gathered outside to await his return. And were they excited, astonished to learn that Rudolph, the ugliest deer of them all, Rudolph the red-nosed, bashful and small, the funny-faced fellow they'd always called names and practically never allowed in their games, was now to be envied by all far and near, for no greater honor can come to a deer than riding with Santa and guiding his sleigh, the number one job on the number one day. The sleigh and the reindeer soon came into view, and Rudolph still led them as downward they flew. Oh boy, was he proud as they came to a landing, right where his handsomer playmates were standing. These bad deer, who used to do nothing but tease him, would now have done anything only to please him. They felt even sorrier they had been bad when Santa said, "Rudolph, I never have had a deer quite so brave or so brilliant as you, at fighting black fog and at guiding me through. By you, last night's journey was actually bossed. Without you, I'm certain we'd all have been lost. I hope you'll continue to keep us from grief on future dark trips as Commander-in-Chief." But Rudolph just blushed from his head to his toes, until his whole fur was as red as his nose. The crowd first applauded, then started to screech, "Hooray for our Rudolph, and we learn a speech!" But Rudolph was bashful, despite being a hero, and tired. His sleep on the trip totaled 0. So that's why his speech was just brief and not bright. Merry Christmas to all, and to all a good night. And that's why, whenever it's foggy and gray, it's Rudolph the Red-Nosed who guides Santa's sleigh. Be listening at Christmas, but don't make a peep, 'cause that late at night, children should be asleep. The very first sound that you hear on the roof, provided there's fog, will be Rudolph's small hoof. And soon after that, if you're still as a mouse, you may hear a swish as he flies round the house and gives enough light to give Santa a view of you and your room. And when they're all through, you may hear them call as they drive out of sight. Merry Christmas to all, and to all a good night.
Okay, this is the Christmas house that I had in the background during the playing of the records, and it is built into a dollhouse that was made in the 1950s out of a sort of pressed fiberboard. It was popular back then, and it is going to remain up all year long here in our display room, our small display room. And I want to show you each room because each thing I think is really neat that's in those. Plus the fact that, except for 2 items in there, I have found everything for free. So join me, let's take a look at my Christmas house. Here is the main room on the first floor. This is the living room. It's a Santa Claus room. The Santa Claus to my left was found in a burned out garage. He actually winds up and plays music. He was made in Japan, and so with a blue tag, so he dates back a little ways. And way in the back there, let's see if I can get these guys. There's a shelf-sitting Santa Claus, and another one in the corner back there, and then another little Santa Claus there. The oldest Santa Claus I think in this bunch is right in the middle there. And he, I believe, is from the early 1950s, late 1940s. And then we've got Mr. and Mrs. Claus in there. He's in the rocking chair, and looks like she's set to go out. She's got a muff on her hands. Back, if you can see back in the corner there, that is a Santa Claus card holder for Christmas cards that come in, 1950s. And we got 2 elf on the shelves, and another Santa Claus on the shelf, and another Santa Claus. Then right there you see that little guy with the top hat. He is in the middle of a train set which goes from the living room to the next room over, and he is made in, I believe it was Korea. And then the little elf guy, or gnome guy, no, not elf, sitting there on the train, looking happy, waiting for the train to start so he can have a ride. Then upstairs, I like this room. I like them all, but in this room we've got two really neat mice in the background. One in the sleigh is actually another shelf sitter. It's bendable, and then the one way in the back there with the like wreath on his head, that one is, I believe, a cartoon character. I don't know which one. Late 50s, early 60s. Then we got ourselves some cute bunny rabbits here, holding hands. A very unusual Christmas cat there, and I say unusual because look at the shape of them. Very strange, but very cool. And then the mouse, she was voiced in a movie by Ava Gabor, or Zsa Zsa Gabor, and I can't remember the name of the Disney movie that she's from, but cute ornament, flocked ornament. Oh, look up here too. I have these really cool 1960s ornaments. There's 3 of them here. That one, and that one, that are on the ceilings, and they sparkle so nice. But anyways, in the next room here, we've got 2 gnomes listening to a little boy, a choir boy back there singing, and behind him are 2 silver, they're supposed to be angels, but their wings are missing. So we got the 2 silver girls back there holding candles and listening to the little boy sing. Next room, I love this room, there's a lot going on in it. In the background, these are all Hallmark pieces and then there's these wooden figures that were made in Korea. There's a Snoopy in Woodstock, and a really cool vintage elf, 1960s I would say. He came out of the same garage as the Santa Claus did. I was happy to get them. But everything in this room, everything was found beside the road, thrown out in the box. So I went through the box and I saw a few of the items. I thought, okay, these are going home with me. And obviously they did. And then down here, this room is still under construction, but we got a really cool grandma sitting there doing knitting and waiting probably for her children and grandchildren to come and see her for Christmas. Behind her are 2 Avon kerosene lamp Figaro perfume bottles. Those are pretty cool. They were freebies also. And she's sitting there, of course, listening to her old gramophone record player, and probably listening to some wonderful Christmas music like Oh Holy Night. So this is the Christmas house, and I'll be adding lots more to it through the year as I find pieces. If you have something you want to contribute to it, hey, send it on in. I would be more than happy to have it. I'd give you full credit for it. Alright, my dear friends, I am back. You know I love hats. I just love hats. My sister gave this one to me the other day, and I swore that I would not wear it outside because it looked too strange to me, but I guess it's really not. If I ever save up enough money to take a vacation up into Alaska, which is really doubtful it'll ever happen, I will have something really super warm to wear on my head. So thank you for this really cool hat, my sister Roseanne, and I hope you enjoyed looking at the video. The Rudolph the Red-Nosed Reindeer classic program, classic retelling of it, and also the brief look I gave you at my little Christmas house here. So again, I hope you enjoyed. I hope you have the best Christmas season ever possible. And God bless each and every one of you. I love you all very much. And on the other side of that camera, stop laughing at me with this on. I mean your monitor. Alright, love you all very much, and talk to you real soon. God willing.